An investigation is underway after Illinois state troopers found a dead driver inside a car that's wanted in connection to a murder that happened in Rock County. Troopers say the car was seen last Wednesday at about 10 p.m. on I-80. Troopers chased the car to a rest area in Princeton, Illinois. When troopers caught up with the car, they found the driver dead from a apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. The name of the driver is not released. It comes the same night as the Beloit Police Department was investigating a shooting that happened on Colony Court that led to the death of a 25-year-old Ariana Phobes. Princeton is about an hour and 45 minutes away from Rock County. Officials have not said if these two incidents are connected.